Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Tassie Bowls Chatter. Now, joining me today, we're taking a little bit of a different tact with Tassie Bowls Chatter, and we're looking at the administration side of bowls here in Tassie. So joining me today is President Graham Hay. Earlier this week, we held the Bowls Tasmania annual general meeting, and for the second year running, Graham was appointed our president for a further 12 months. Congratulations, Graham.
Thanks, Beck, and thanks to the board for showing the support to re-elect me, and I hope that I can fulfil their wishes and the wishes of the Bowls fraternity in Tasmania this year.
It's certainly been a busy 12 months for your first year in the role, and we'll take a bit of a look later on in proceedings on how the year has panned out. But to start with, we'll talk a little bit about the annual general meeting, and in some ways it brought about a little bit of change as well. So we did say farewell to three fantastic board members in Margaret Cornish, Dee Harmon, and our long-term treasurer Bob Clifton.
Yeah, certainly, Beck. It's really sorry when you see really good people leave the organisation for one reason or another, but then again it's always exciting to welcome new people into the organisation. It'd be very remiss of me if I didn't mention Bob for his sterling work. That's Bob Clifford, who has been treasurer for the past 6 years, I think it is now,
yep,
for Bowls Tasmania. And Bob was a really astute professional treasurer. He not only just set a budget and kept the books in order, but Bob was always thinking of the members and the best way to spend the members' dollar. And if you want to put it in his forensic accounting, if you want to put it that way, and the ways he would look at things, offer advice to the board, was impeccable. He was a really great crutch for me to lean on, and I know Beck and before me Sue Ross as well always looked to Bob for advice and always got really good sage advice, and the advice Bob gave was always spot on. Margaret Cornish, who came on board last year to take up the portfolio in junior development as an appointed director, has done a marvellous job. Margaret's been involved with juniors over many years now, and the track record that she's got there is impeccable. Last year we saw success for the juniors in the girls' fours. Alana, Ashley, and who was that one, Beck?
Logan. I should have remembered that. Sorry, Logs, you're a clubmate of mine. Yeah. I should have remembered that one.
Logan is moving on this year out of the juniors, but it was an excellent job there. They got the silver in the girls' fours. And then we had Jorah Morn, who took out the bronze in the girls' singles. A really good outcome for the juniors, and they represented themselves with distinction at the championships. Unfortunately, with COVID-19, the junior program virtually came to a halt. We had a test against Victoria penciled in, but we all know what happened with COVID-19, and unfortunately that came to a halt. Margaret has now departed the board, and we thank her very much for her input. Hopefully she will stay on in the junior program. We've still got match manager positions and selectors and all that type of thing. The board has now formed a junior development working party, and that is chaired now by Bernard Knight, who is a director from South. So that's a fully functional subcommittee now of Bowls Tasmania, and it's going really well. The other director to depart is Dee Harmon from the Northwest, and Dee's portfolio took in women in sport, and Dee did a really good job, was very conscientious there. Through her reign, we've seen mixed gender bowls become the norm in Tasmania. We've seen unification take place, so Dee's been very busy on all aspects of women in bowls. I'd like to thank Dee very much for her involvement in not only the women's side of bowls, but bowls in general. She was very active in the senior representative sides as match manager and looking after the girls when they went away and organising their to's and froms and all sorts of things that you do when you've got a tour. So thanks Dee, sterling job, and hopefully everything goes well for you.
All right, now let's have a look at those members that are on our board and make up our board now for the 2020-21 season. So first up, we're going to take a look at our southern representatives on the Bowls Tasmania board. And for those that are not aware, the Bowls Tasmania board comprises of 6 elected directors, a male and a female from each of the 3 regions. Bowls Tasmania also has the right to appoint up to 3 appointed directors on the board. There must be at least 1 appointed director fulfilling the role of treasurer, and then there's 2 other opportunities to fulfill a specific portfolio. So on the screen, as we look at it now, is our southern directors. So we'll introduce each of those directors, and Graham will touch on each of our directors' portfolios. So first up we have Liz Rickards, who hails from the Geeveston Bowls Club.
Yeah, Liz, as Beck said, hails from Geeveston Bowls Club, and Liz's portfolio is Clubs Liaison Director. So Liz is very passionate about our regional and country clubs, and it is the grassroots of our bowling organisations, and we felt on the board we needed a person that actually looks after what the clubs need and what the clubs may want, and to give the clubs a direct contact person for any issues they may have to bring through to the board. So that's Liz's portfolio, and she's been quite active. And it only came about partway through last year, so she was feeling her feet then, and is looking forward to working with all the regional clubs and all the clubs in general, really, as a director and a direct contact for you out there in clubland.
And next up, we have our male director from the south, Bernard Knight, coming from the Howrah Bowls Club.
Yes, Bernard came to us partway through last year when unfortunately Nick Lee had to resign through health reasons, etc. And we were extremely fortunate to pick up Bernard as his replacement. Bernard comes from a background of education, rising to the role of principal in the education department, and has brought with him a wealth of experience as committee member on many organisations, and he's taken up the portfolio of the Junior Development Working Party. He chairs the Junior Development Party. He also is our MPIO and is doing a sterling job there, and also Bernard sits on our governance committee. So he's quite busy, got quite a diverse portfolio, but is quite astute in everything he does. His communication skills are beyond reproach, and Bernard's been a very, very good fit and an acquisition for our board.
And now we move on to our newest addition to the board. Joining us as an appointed director in the role of treasurer is David Back, who joins us from the Sandy Bay Bowls Club.
Once again, we talked about Bob Clifford moving on, but we were extremely fortunate that Bob was able to talk amongst his colleagues in the accounting area, and he came up with David, who has agreed to apply for the treasurer role, and the board was only too pleased to welcome him with open arms. David has an extensive background in accounting, having worked for the major accounting firms in Sydney, and also actually lecturing at the University of Tasmania in accounting, finance, etc. He's extremely well qualified, and his advice and accounting abilities will be quite welcomed on the board. We look forward to working with David over the coming year to ensure that our finances are spent in the best way possible. It's going to be a difficult year coming out of COVID. We don't know what's around the corner, and it's very much tread very carefully as we go. So David will undoubtedly have a testing year and a challenging year ahead of him, and we look forward to working with him in that portfolio.
Yes, welcome aboard, David. And now we'll switch on over and take a look at the Northern board members for this year. So representing us from the North, our female elected director is Sue Ross.
We're indeed fortunate that we were able to entice Sue back to the board. Sue is, as you all know, immediate past president of Bowls Tas, and did a sterling job in her year as president. And we were very fortunate for Sue to come back to the board. Now, Sue has come back with the very expressed portfolio of change and diversity. It's something that we haven't looked at as a board before in the same way as what Sue will work. It is change and diversity, especially around the roles of our social bowlers, however you want to call them, night owls, barefoot bowlers, corporate bowlers, etc. Their participation in the sport. The world that we live in is ever changing, and as I said at the annual general meeting, that we have to be able to cater for the world that we do live in, and bowls is no different to any other sport. We must look at ways that we can entice new members and retain new members into our sport through participation. And that may mean that pennant is not the be-all and end-all of participation anymore. It may mean that we need to look outside the pennant ranks. That's not to say we're going to throw away pennant by any means, don't get me wrong there, but how we include the barefoot bowlers and the social bowlers within our clubs, because that is probably going to be the way of our future, and it's probably going to be the way that most clubs will survive. So it's an extremely challenging portfolio for Sue, and Sue will be working with you, the clubs and members of the bowling fraternity in Tasmania, to look at the best way that we can do it, and to roll out models, tools, etc. to help you with that endeavour within your club. And so we welcome Sue back. It's not going to be an easy task, but I'm sure it's one that she'll relish and excel with.
And our male elected director from the North is Les Harrison.
Les, once again, is a returning member. He had a spell for a bit over 12 months, Les, but returns to the board. In the portfolio of officiating, he also takes on bowlers with a bowling arm and also disability bowlers. Les is very passionate with the bowlers with a bowling arm and also the disability sector of our bowls, and is very much involved with RSL bowls and also officiating. So umpires, markers, all the officiating areas Les is very, very conversant with, has very good contacts throughout Australia, and is a very, very competent director in that portfolio, and brings a lot of skill to the board in that area. And we welcome Les. He's virtually just started his tenure tour with bowlers with a disability and the bowlers with the bowling arm, and he's gone ahead in leaps and bounds there. He's very inclusive, and he also represents those sectors of our bowling fraternity on the board with great vigour. So welcome, Les.
And our second appointed director on the Bowls Tasmania board with a specific portfolio, and you all heard from him in our last episode of Tassie Bowls Chatter, but it is the very experienced Mark Stroschnetter.
Well, Mark doesn't really need any introduction, I don't suppose, but if you're looking for somebody to head up your high performance portfolio, and you went out there with a resume, 10 times out of 10 you'd come back with the name Mark Stroschnetter to do it. And we were fortunate that Mark has agreed to come on board in that portfolio, and I'm sure that with his leadership and his experience and the respect that he has amongst all of our players, the whole of the bowling fraternity, Mark will do a fantastic job in our high performance areas. We make no secret of the fact that our expectations are high, and Mark he shares those expectations. There's winners, and then there's the people that also compete. Well, in Bowls Tasmania, we aim to be winners, and we'll ensure that we can give Mark all the support he needs from the board, and to ensure that all of our players have the best opportunity to be the best that they can when they compete for our state. And Mark, I'm sure, will get the best out of all the players as well. Welcome, Mark.
Now, from our Northwest representatives, for those of you that don't know, Graham hails from the Latrobe Bowls Club on the Northwest and is our male elected director from the Northwest. And as was touched on, Dee Harmon has finished up this year as our female elected director from the Northwest. That position is now vacant, so we are looking to fill that position, and within the Bowls Tasmania Constitution, it is in the scope of the board directors to fill those casual vacancies. So if you're a female on the Northwest Coast and you think that you might have a lot to offer Bowls Tasmania and you'd like to help get involved, give us a call, get in contact with us. Graham's down your way. I'm only a phone call away. We'd love to hear from you. We do want to get more and more people involved in this board. We do also have an appointed director position still open that's available for the board to fill that appointed director slot if there's a specific portfolio that needs filling. So please keep that in mind if you're looking at wanting to give back to your sport here in Tassie.
Yeah, just to touch a bit further on that, Beck, I'd encourage all the ladies in the Northwest to have a really good think about it, and don't be shy. It's a very inclusive board. It's a very open board. Everybody treats everybody with respect. Everybody's opinion is valued, and you will get a lot of satisfaction. I know I have in my short term here. Gained tremendous satisfaction out of some of the work that we've done. Some of it hasn't been very easy, but to get the feedback when you go around the state and talk to bowlers is always encouraging. People are always understanding of the positions we're in, and very encouraging. So I encourage you to have a good think about it. It's a tremendous opportunity, and something that we would welcome, people to join us in furthering the benefits of bowls for the whole of Tasmania.
So please keep that one in mind. Now, if you would like to read more about the Bowls Tasmania AGM, the annual general meeting report is now online, and you can check that out. You can see the report from Graham, myself as CEO, and of course our ever important Treasurer's report and financial statements from the auditor, as well as our fantastic honour roll for the past 12 months of champions here in Tassie. So please feel free to check that out. The minutes are also online from the AGM. And if you have any questions, as members of Bowls Tasmania, you're always more than welcome to ask those questions. So please get in contact with us at any time. Now, as we move on to the next phase of our questions, Graham, we move into probably what has been, fair to say, one of the most difficult periods, well, not just for our sport, for a lot of sports, but I guess for the world in general at the moment. And that, of course, is COVID-19. It's been a very tricky time. I actually joked with you after the AGM that you can go down in history as the president that got everyone off the green for a few months. But look, it has been a really trying time, and we've worked very hard here at Bowls Tas to keep things ticking over and try and support our members as best we can. But it certainly has been trying.
It's been it's hard to explain how the year has gone so far, unless you're actually living it, I suppose. And I was expecting a little bit of a spell after a fairly hectic year with championships and all that, and we'll talk about those shortly. And then all of a sudden, we've got women's finals, we've got pennant finals, etc. about to start, and COVID-19 hits, and we're getting advice that we need to get people off the greens. So, decisions weren't taken lightly, and I really thank the members of the board and also the regional presidents and secretaries that were in it up to their ears as well, I suppose, in the decision-making time. There were some really hard decisions had to be made. And I think in the letter that I sent out to all of our members, I tried to express the difficulty in coming to those decisions. It wasn't taken lightly. But I've got to thank the whole of the bowls world for being understanding. I didn't get one bit of negative feedback. Most people were very accepting of the circumstances that were before us and the route we had to take. As I say, it wasn't easy. And as we move forward, information was coming and changing daily, and from that aspect I need to, there's a really heartfelt thanks to Beck for the work that she's done over the period. As I say, things are changing daily. People want to know, what can we do? Can we open? Can't we open? What if we do open? What are the rules and conditions? And I know a couple of times we've sat down, Beck and myself, and said, yeah, okay, this is what's happened, this is what Peter Gutman's just announced, and only to be told an hour and a half later or 2 hours later that, well, hang on a minute, it's not quite like that for sport and for community sport. So we had to sort of double back, understand what that actually meant for community sport, and change some of our directives, if you like. It is now starting to hopefully come out the other end, and we've always been cognizant of the fact that of what impact this has had on clubs, especially our indoor facilities and the clubs with synthetic greens and things like that, that have got a lot of money invested in their facilities, and they have to be paid for, and so how do you do that? And if you've got no activity, you can't pay, and all that type of thing. Well, Rebecca's, I suppose, one of the main things that Rebecca's been tied up with, her and Alan Eadie have been involved in the grants area, and fortunately the government has seen fit to bestow us with, it was 150,000 went across our sport here in
in Tassie. So, a massive cash injection into bowls in Tasmania and certainly helped some clubs, really survive this period. And, and including the opportunities that it also gave Bowls Tasmania in being able to lower our capitation fees for this new season as well. So, a big thank you to the state government and in particular Community Sport and Recreation for their support during this time, but also their foresight in making these grants available.
Yeah, and like the grants were available, but you have to apply. And one of the things that we do here in Bowls Tasmania, when people ask what does our capitation get for us, well, we do offer assistance with grant writing. Well, I can tell you that your capitation fee was well spent this year. Beck was extremely busy helping clubs with their grants. There'd be a grant application sent through. Beck would tic-tac with the clubs, you need to change this, you might need to do this, all that type of thing. So her and Alan was extremely hard working in that area, but the outcome for the clubs has been extremely good. There's some good news on the way around the grants area as well. I can't really go into too much detail there right now, but keep your eye on this space, because there are some grants coming up that will be particularly of interest to all of our bowling clubs once more, and help us get back and hopefully not only refill the coffers but improve our facilities around the state. So that was COVID-19. Hopefully we don't get back to that situation, but we do need to remain extremely vigilant. Bex continues to send out the directives as they come through and advice from the government, but even though we're back into pretty well open slather, if you want to put it that way, you've got to still remember that you need your COVID-19 plans. You must abide by the social distancing laws, sanitisation protocols, all of that. General hygiene is extremely important. We don't want to go back to where we were. God forbid if we had to do that, it'd be a disaster. So I implore everybody to look after your mates, know what your COVID-19 plan is, and also observe your social distancing and the protocols around. Enjoy your game of bowls by all means, but you don't have to shake hands. The old elbow touch or the fist bumps just as good.
And look, for those of you that are not quite sure what that actually looks like, please visit the Bowls Tasmania website and you will see what the stage 3 restrictions do look like for bowls here in Tassie. And it is really important that members are well across that and what the expectations are of you as members and what you're able to do. And of course, what clubs must be making sure that they do during these times in having their COVID safe plan in place, their sanitisation procedures, all of those sort of things. So please make sure you do check that out. I think it's important that all of us as bowlers take that responsibility and be prepared when we're stepping back on the green. And remember, if you're showing any cold or flu-like symptoms or you're feeling unwell, please stay home and don't put your other members at risk. So yes, COVID-19 and what a difficult time it's been. One grant that we can just go into for a quick second is the announcement of the Tranche 2 grants, which is available for all clubs to apply for, up to $3,000. And the purpose of this grant is to help clubs getting their sanitisation procedures back in place. So if you need to buy sanitisation products for your club and different hygiene products, you may need to buy more equipment to ensure that there's no sharing of equipment and things like that. So again, on the Bowls Tasmania website, check it out. All clubs are eligible to apply for that until all finances are exhausted, and there's $900,000 available to clubs across Tassie. And we've got a lot of clubs needing that assistance, not just within bowls. So again, another one, please check it out. Now, as we said, prior to COVID-19, we've had a busy year anyway, and we have been doing a lot that the general public may not get to see all the time, but it has been a big year, and we've been working particularly on our strategic plan. Our strategic plan was launched at the start of January 2019, and it is our strat plan for 2019 through to 2023. It's our driving force, I guess, and gives us the direction as board and staff on where we're heading with the sport over the 5-year period. So, we've actually achieved a lot that people may not be aware of.
We have. This strategic plan is a really important piece of work that has been done and sets out our pathway, if you like, the framework of how we operate up till 2023. Obviously, there may be some changes, there may be some modification to that as we go. COVID-19 wasn't factored into this strategic plan, for instance. But it is something that we share with the regions, and the regions draw down from that as well in the application to drawing up their own strategic plans, if you like, so that we all work together. So we set out the main areas of our strategic plan: our business model, more play, events and competitions, and staying ahead of the game. They're the headlines, if you like, and what do we do about that? Like our business model, and what's our governance model? We've already touched on the portfolios that we now have within our board to ensure that we're structured properly around change and diversity, junior development, club liaison, complaints and MPIO, accredited officiators, bowling and bowlers with a disability, and bowlers with a bowling arm. So that sets up our structure, if you like, as a board. And then out of that, we've got to establish how we portray collaborative leadership. And we do that in lots of ways, and it is a very collaborative leadership style that we do have with Bowls Tas. We want to work with clubs and the regions to ensure that what we're doing is in everybody's best interests, and that we listen to people to understand what they need. We have meetings one-on-one with the regions now. We would have had 2 last year, apart from COVID-19 stepped in. We managed to have one with each of the regions one-on-one, and those meetings were set down to listen to the express things of interest for each of the regions. We all live in Tasmania and we know what Tasmania is like. There's 3 distinct regions, and every region has its own little peculiarities and their own wants and needs. But being able to sit down one-on-one, we often find that it is common across most of our borders. We have what we call the RCC meeting, so that's the Regional Consultative Committee meetings. So that's the presidents of each of the regions sit down with the board on a quarterly basis, and we go through all the regional issues. We do discuss conditions of play, and that is an ongoing issue, if you like, that we hopefully are getting closer to a resolution on, and I'm sure with a collaborative approach that we can get to a position of agreement on what our conditions of play are and get some uniformity across the state. Webinars and open forum training. Well, webinars and open forum training really comes to the fore, and once again I've got to thank Beck from the bottom of my heart here of what she was able to do through the winter period and through the COVID-19 period. Introduced us all to technology that we probably never even thought about, and probably thought, yeah, that's all right, but we don't do that here in Tassie, or no, you don't do that in Bowls. We were face-to-face type of people. Well, we weren't able to be face-to-face, and I think Beck, the webinars and everything were very successful. How many hits? I don't want to put you on the spot, but
well, I think all up we've had well over 15,000 hits with everything combined. So by the time we think of our webinars that we've done, whether that was regarding grants training, training for how to input results ready for the pennant season, we also did website training. We also did things like our exercise video, and we've introduced Tassie Bowls Chatter, and we've had a lot of interaction with our bowls community. So we're well over 15,000 hits. I might even be underselling us a little bit there, but certainly at last count. So it's fantastic to see, and with the introduction of our monthly update directly to members via their newsletter, by their emails. We're getting a lot of great feedback from members. So I hope you're really appreciating and enjoying what we're getting out to you, and we can always give more. So please let us know if there's anything else that you want to hear from with us as well.
Yeah, and unlike face-to-face meetings and things like that, the webinars and the forums and the coaching sessions, etc., that have been done, they go to building a library of material. So if you've missed any, you can always go back to the website and they're there, so that you can have a look. You can refresh what's in your mind, what's happened. There's lots of good stuff there. There'll be stuff coming up with portal training, things like that, so that it brings a whole new concept of it. Gives you a library in your own home of being able to look at things when you want to look at it, and bring yourself up to speed with what's happening in the bowls world. And you will have noticed that we've started sending communications direct to clubs and also to members in some cases from the board table of Bowls Tasmania. We've done this with the knowledge of the regions, and they're quite okay with what we send out, and it is mainly the stuff that affects members directly. We did send you all a message around the reduction in capitation fees. We thought that was important, that everybody knows that we are thinking of them, and that we're here to help, and that we want to ensure that we're helping our members whichever way we can. And we fully understand, things have been tough in the last few months. And we were able to secure some savings, and we did secure a little bit of grant money as well. And so to pass those savings and the grant money on to our members, it was best to do it through the capitation fee. So that's what we do at Bowls Tas, as far as being collaborative, if you like, to fulfil our responsibilities under the strategic plan.
And if I can just say, if anyone hasn't been receiving those monthly updates, it means that you don't have an email address registered in the system. So please contact us, ceo@bowlstasmania.com.au, or contact your club secretary, and we can get those details updated, so you are receiving this information.
And as part of any business model, Bowls Tas is a brand, and so how do we build the brand? How do we sell our brand out there to our sponsors? So we realised that we needed to make some investment in that area, and the equipment that's being used for this little segment, actually, we can utilise that for live streaming of all of our events, things like that, that we could do before, but not to the same quality as what this is. So we made a $6,000 investment into equipment, so that we could take our game, we could do the webinars, we can do the online training courses, etc., and we thought that was a good investment to be able to take to our sponsors as well, to say that we can promote your product out there if you want to come on board with us. And hopefully that's showing some signs of giving us some payback. And also we've would have had the concept of a statewide bowls league up and running for this winter, but unfortunately COVID-19. So that's something that we'll be working extremely hard on going into the next 12 months. Is the establishment of the statewide bowls league, to be held obviously indoors through the winter, and I encourage you to keep your eye on this space to see how that rolls out. It'll be an exciting venture, and we'll take in all bowlers in Tasmania when it gets to its fullest potential. Number 2 headline, if you like, is more play. And how do we do that? Well, you're all familiar with the Try Bowls Day. There's been a lot of discussion at board level around how Try Bowls Day goes, and we thought it's okay. It goes okay, but one year it may rain, or it may rain in a different in a region. I think last year it did down the coast and pretty well all around Tassie. So Try Bowls Day becomes an information day, and they can't really get out on the green or whatever. So we decided that the best way to do it probably is to have a Try Bowls month, and that's what we'll promote for Bowls Tasmania for the coming season, the coming year. And things will be out, we'll advertise it through the electronic media and obviously Facebook and all the social media pages.
I think that's a really good initiative that we definitely want our clubs to really look into, and this is a good way of putting your spin on it and being able to make it what you need it to be through the month of October to help promote bowls for you. And I must take this opportunity to sincerely thank our corporate partners, Win TV, who have been fantastic supporters for the last couple of years in airing our commercial throughout Tasmania and making this initiative known statewide. So thanks to Win TV for their continued support.
Yeah, they've been fantastic. We already talked about the creation of the change and diversity portfolio to encourage the more social aspect of bowls, to encourage people that don't want to be committed to the weekly pennant, etc., to come try our game, play our game, and there's lots of exciting news coming up on that front as the year goes on. We've increased the use of social media and technology by clubs and Bowls Tas enormously. Most clubs now have fully functional Facebook pages, etc., and it's people are getting used to looking for news and events through those social media pages, and they're very beneficial, and I encourage people to use them, but use them wisely, use them well, and keep your comments positive.
And if any clubs would like assistance with getting a website up and running, or getting a Facebook or page or other social media platforms up and running, please contact us through our regional bowls manager, Alan Eady, or myself. We can definitely help you with that and help you getting it up and running. And as Graham mentioned earlier, we've got the library of information on our website, which includes a webinar with Kelvin Rogers, who is the training and support coordinator for Bowls Australia, on how to actually set a website up. So please check that out if you are interested. And
on a national front, we also have representatives on the Bowls Australia Women in Bowls Working Party, the Optimal Governance Working Party that's run by Bowls Australia, and also we sit on the State Consultative Board for Bowls Australia, which meets twice a year. So the state is heard. Beck sits on the Women in Bowls, I sit on the Optimal Governance, we both sit on the State Consultative Board meetings, and we are both passionate about our state, and we ensure that our state is heard, and in some cases we're the leaders in what we do, and we're proud to say that. So we're definitely looking after your interests. Headline 3 is events and competitions, and I suppose this is one of the places where we've had significant change over the last 12 months in the events and competitions area. What was traditionally for many years the state championships over the Christmas New Year period has now morphed into 2 gala weeks, and gee, that was a great success.
Fantastic, yeah.
The introduction of the mixed pairs was a huge success. And how many entries did we have for that bet?
Off the top of my head, I think it was 60 teams in the mixed pairs. It was massive. We were we thought it would be popular.
Yeah.
We were quite taken aback, and we'll actually struggle to fit it in the time frame we've allowed.
Yeah, so we've seen that in that gala week in January. We saw the mixed pairs, the open triples, both male and female, bowlers with a bowling arm, and a full complement for the juniors.
Yes.
Take place, and it was really, really good to, especially for the juniors, to play on the same stage for the finals as the open competition finalists. There was some really, really great games of bowls played. The talent that was on display and appreciation of the crowd was really, really warming. And they also take part in the presentation ceremonies after, alongside their elder peers, and it was just great to see. I think it was a really good initiative to take up, and also out of that, holding that, then that also opens it up for the juniors, the bowlers with the bowling arm, disability bowlers, to take part in the Open Championships later on in March, and that was well received as well. It was run exceptionally well on the Northwest Coast this year, and once again the quality of bowls, the whole event was top notch. It was well appreciated by the participants and the crowd that was there. It was live. Our finals were live streamed. The interest in that was quite good, quite encouraging. And thankfully, our champions still get to go away to represent our state at the national event in December, which is quite encouraging, and I'm sure that they're all looking forward to that. So that's something that COVID didn't quite get, but all in all, it was a real success, and it's something that we look forward to. Obviously, we'll review and how it all went in the light of day now, and anything that we need to do to tweak it. And I encourage feedback from everybody out there as to okay, if you think there's something we may be able to do a little bit better, or something we shouldn't do any more, just let us know. We will listen, and we will try and make these events as appealing and open to everybody so that they can compete.
And spread the word. If you're any of our B-grade bowlers tuning in, we did hold our Open B-grade championships for the first time in that format this year in March, and we had some fantastic entries, but we would love to see some more. So it was disappointing to hear that some people didn't actually know the event was on. So we really want to spread the word over this next 6 months prior to that event in March. So please do so. If you're a B-grade bowler that would be interested in competing in those championships, keep those in mind. We had record entries in nearly every event we ran this past season, so we're putting the benchmark even higher to try and meet that or better it again this coming season.
Yeah. And the final headline of our strategic plan is staying ahead of the game. And as I said, we live in an ever-changing world, so it's important that we keep up with technology and how we administer our game, all of that. So we've had some really good innovations over the last couple of years, one being the Bowls Link system. That came in its first iteration 2 years ago. Yeah,
it's probably had its first, since it's been fully fledged and up and running, this past 12 months in its entirety.
Yeah, and so that is, I know, a big cog in the wheel of Bowls Australia, if you like, their initiatives to make sure that gets up and running and is widely utilised, not only in just for results portals and things like that, but for being able to set up competitions and do virtually everything you need to do in your administration of your club. So there'll be lots of news, there'll be lots of training sessions, etc. on Bowls Link over the probably coming 2 years. and I encourage everybody to keep up to date with that and utilise it fully. We do pay for it; it doesn't come cheap, so we want to make sure that we utilise it to the fullest of its potentials. IT training and the systems and web pages, things like that. We're starting to, or not starting to, we have done and will continue to do as much as we can in that area. As Beck said, if you've got web pages you want to get up and running, you want to tweak your Facebook page, anything like that, please feel free to contact Beck and work with Alan Eady. He is got a particular skill set in and around websites and Facebook pages, etc. And I'm only too happy to help. Once again, the creation of the diversity and participation portfolio, all the training courses and everything that were held online. It doesn't mean now that you have to go to an umpiring course at a club, if you like. We've proven that we can actually run those online, so we'll look at doing more of those as we go forward. So they're the ways that we stay ahead of the game. As Beck said, even though we're in COVID-19, we're still able to make some really good strides to achieving our strategic plan. Sure, it's got a little bit behind in a couple of areas, but I'm sure that we can get back on top of that. And as I said earlier, that it does provide us with the framework to ensure that we deliver what we need to deliver to ensure that bowls in Tasmania is profitable and fulfilling. So our strategic plan is there. As I say, we'll tweak it, we'll look at it, but we will continue to work with it, with the regions, and to deliver what we need to deliver.
Thanks, Graham. That's a fantastic summary of the strat plan, and hopefully it gives you all an idea on exactly what has been going on at Bowls Tasmania over the last 12 months in particular. It's been an incredibly busy time, made even more complicated and busy in recent months. But look, we would really like to thank all of our clubs, our members, our regions for your support during this time in particular, your understanding and your patience. We've been, as I said, as Graham and I have both said, trying to get information out to you as best and as quickly as we can, and it's been difficult to navigate through a lot of that. So thank you again for your patience and assistance during that and your understanding. It's great to see so many people getting back on the green now and in preparation for when our season gets into full swing come October, as per normal, fingers crossed. And we're sure you'll enjoy it just as much as we are. We're both back on the green now. It's been nice to get back out there.
It has been extremely nice to see. We've been back 2 weeks now, pretty rusty. Although some people say not much has changed. So,
bit stiff the next day after.
Yeah, very stiff. I managed the social distancing between the bowl and the jack. That's no problem.
Well, I think we're probably all in that boat a little bit. But look, thank you for joining us today. Hopefully it has given you a good insight on what's been happening at Bowls Tasmania and where we're headed as your state body. So thanks again for your time, and thanks for tuning in to Tassie Bowls Chatter. We'll be back in another couple of weeks with our next interview. And please don't forget to drop me a line, put a comment in the comments about who you would like to hear us interview next. We want to get the people online that you want to hear from. So thanks again, and we'll speak to you shortly.